Do you know the best value sneakers you can possibly buy? It's skate shoes. Skate shoes are under such scrutiny because they need to be super durable, super comfortable, take all sorts of abuse, but they also need to be dirt cheap because you're just destroying them at the end of the day, and skaters are broke. I don't know any other type of shoe that needs to be so specific and not cost over like $150. So we have cut apart about 50 or so skate shoes over the last year and almost 1,000 normal boots and shoes. So I'm going to list the top 20 skate shoes. I'm gonna rank them based on durability, comfort, and board feel, because those are the three most important things you can have in skate shoes. You need durability because you're scraping them against grip tape all day, every day, which is just sandpaper. You need comfort because you put your feet through the craziest abuse you can possibly imagine. Like the most minimal thing you're doing is jumping and slapping them against the ground and the board all day, every day. Not even counting people who are doing like 10 plus stair sets because they're crazy. And board feel is really important because some people like to feel the board and like be able to move their feet around, and some people like so much cushion you can't feel anything, and it's very specific. So this is the top 20. It's not like number 20 is the worst skate shoe. It's like, I'm ranking these, if I had 20 skate shoes, this is the order I would put them. And it's like, oh, if number 1 wasn't available, I'd go to number 2, da 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 da. It's kind of objectively ranking the best skate shoe you get for your money, the most amount of shoe for your money. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sam. I've been doing the skate reviews for the last like year and a half-ish, or if you're the commenters, it's who the f is this guy? I never watch when it's this guy, go f yourself. That's how you might know me. So, number 20, we have the iconic Vans Skate Slip-On, specifically the suede version. $60 to $65, depending on if you like the canvas or suede version. It's probably the cheapest shoe on this list, and it's a vulcanized construction. So Vans has been around since 1966, and they've been making skate shoes the entire time. They're kind of like the triple OG to the skate game. You're definitely not gonna get clowned wearing Vans at the park. So the slip-on versions of Vans came out swinging, and they were a cultural phenomenon after Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out, and character Jeff Spicoli, the coolest character in all of movies, he was sporting a pair the whole movie, and they've been a pretty timeless classic ever since. But it's had a few updates and like kind of switches and upgrades along the way. So for durability, what you get, the upper is a pretty decent suede. It had a pretty decent abrasion test score. Plus you do get this layer of Vans Duracap under the toe. It's an extra rubber layer right there. It's just rubber under the suede to extend the shoe's life. It's a vulcanized rubber outsole, so it'll be pretty grippy and flexible right out of the box. But Vulcs, they're never as durable as you would want them to be in the outsole. I'd say you probably get about a month, 3 weeks to a month if you're skating in them every single day. If you buy the canvas version, it's not gonna stretch and break in as much as the suede, but they're not nearly as durable as leather. So I would always opt for the leather versions. If I had to rank it, I give it a 5 out of 10 for durability. For comfort, slip-ons are notoriously comfortable after the brutal break-in period. Because there's no laces, most people size these kind of wrong and they don't account for the break-in. Typically, most people buy them too big because they stretch a lot. I always opt for a more snug fit at first, which it can chew up your Achilles, but it's definitely worth it in the long run to keep them tight so you're not falling and your shoes are flying off your feet every time. But after they break in, super comfortable. It's like a sock around your foot. You also get the Vans Pop Cush insole, which is Vans' upgraded insole for skating. People love it. It's really soft and cushiony. It's a little bit too cushiony for me for skating. I like a little stiffer, more dense insole, but people love the Pop Cush insole. To rank it, I'd say 2 out of 10 pre-break-in and maybe a 5 out of 10 after break-in for comfort. And board feel, Vulcs always have a ton of board feel, and these are absolutely no exception. Like, you can really feel a lot of the ground in these. So if you like a softer, thinner shoe, these might be the move. On board feel, I'd say if 1 is not feeling your board and 10 is feeling all of your board, I'd give these an 8 out of 10. All right, on to number 19. We have Last Resort AB, the VM001. They're $95 to $100 depending if you get the high or low, and they're vulcanized. So Last Resort is probably the most successful skater-owned brand out right now. It was started in part with Pontus Alf, who started Polar Skate Co. as well, along with a few of his other friends. I've actually been in touch a lot with Sammy. He's one of the founders. Super nice guys. They're always willing to give me info, and they defend their product, which is kind of sick. They definitely have that cool factor right now for sure. It's one of those brands that if you don't skate, you might not know, but if you do skate, you understand. Like, I've actually had someone stop me in public and be like, dude, are those Last Resorts? Check out mine too, I got them too. It's like the only time that's ever happened, and it was with Last Resort, which was like crazy to me. But you definitely pay the small brand tax. Since the economies of scale with these small skater-owned companies, it's hard to compete with Nike and Vans and Adidas, since those companies can make their money back over the long run, and the small guys have to make it back in the short run. So they're gonna be a little more expensive than like your giant corporations, but if that's what you value, that's good for you. Like, I always value independent skater-owned as well. So if we go into the durability, Last Resort, they did set out to make like the most Vulc feeling shoe ever, so you can't have a ton of crazy tech features or I think you would lose what they're going for. But they do have some good durability touches. So you get a hole cut upper pattern, which removes any stitching points. It's just one piece of suede wrapped around, so you're not gonna kick through some stitches right there. The foxing and outsole are pretty typical durability. They're taped a little higher than usual. It's pretty typical durability wise from a Volk shoe. I would say about 1 month or so of daily skating. I'd give it a 5 out of 10 for durability. Comfort, and there's two big things for the last resort comfort. The hole cut upper just like breaks into your foot really well. It's almost like a sock around your foot by the time it's broken in. They did a recent upgrade to their insole. I think it's called Cloudy Cush. It's way more dense and thicker than it used to be, which does make it feel a lot better and a lot more comfortable when you're doing drops. But at the end of the day, these are still pretty thin and they break in a lot. They get pretty loose, pretty soggy. So if you like that, these are the move. But if you're like me and enjoy a stiffer shoe, these might not be for you. Personally, these are one of my favorite chiller shoes and walking shoes. Like I actively choose them to wear over a ton of other shoes when I'm not skating. So comfort, I'd say probably 4 out of 10 skating and 8 out of 10 if you're just chilling and wearing them to walk around. And for board feel, you can really feel everything under your foot. It's one of those shoes like there's not much in here. Even for a Volk, there's not much in here. It will even get so soft like you can curl your toes around your board after they break in. So board feel, I go 9 of 10. You can feel a lot of these. Next up, we have another Vans. We have the Vans Curren Caples Pro. It's $80 and it's another vulcanized construction. So Curren Caples, this is his pro shoe. He's one of the sickest skaters out there. He rips transition, he kills it in the street. He's pretty much like the epitome of like SoCal surfer skater boy. This is the newest pro model out right now, I'm pretty sure, and I think it's actually pretty underrated. When it came out, I was like, oh, it's a pretty average Volk shoe, but the more shoes I've cut after it, the better this shoe looked in hindsight. It's grown on me a lot after I did the review. It's kind of like an upgrade to some of the Vans classics with more of like a slip-on vibe. So for durability, you get a suede upper, which was pretty good. I will start going through it right there, but you can see along with the suede upper, you get the Vans DuraCap extra rubber layer around the toe, and it's actually like asymmetrical, so you get more rubber over here than you do on the inside, which is kind of interesting. The foxing is actually pretty high, and it's pretty thick rubber around here. Like I like how this one was built because you can see how it comes over under your toe right there, which I don't think I've seen on any other Volk shoe except for this one. I'd maybe start noticing it more after we cut the shoe. So you know, you'll get pretty decent average vulcanized wear. Any Volk shoe I'd say should have a double layer because they're so soft, but at the end of the day, it's still a Volk, so it still suffers the same outsole durability problems. 3 weeks to a month until you start going through the bottom, but it's really soft and grippy. So if that's what you like, it's pretty solid. Durability, I'd probably say like a 5.5 out of 10. If we go to comfort, you get another Vans Pop Cush insole right here. And this one didn't even feel too squishy for me over time. Like it stayed pretty good the whole time. The lining was actually changed to fit more like a slip-on as well, so it covers all the seams on the inside, which is kind of a cool touch. It's something that Curren wanted, I believe. It just fits and feels like a really comfy low top shoe. I will say when I was trying to like jump down some small stuff and like doing runouts, because I am a wimp and I bail all the time. When I was doing the runouts, I could noticeably tell, it's like, oh, this is like smacking my feet on the ground. Kind of like any other Volk. For comfort, I'd probably go another 5.5 out of 10. And for board feel, it is a pretty standard Volk shoe for board feel. You can feel a lot of your board and a lot of the ground under, and you can feel it when you flick and land. I'd probably go like a 7.5 out of 10 for board feel. You get a lot of board feel in this shoe. All right, for the next one up, I kind of have a tie between two shoes. It's the Nike SB Blazer / the Blazer GT Low. They're $90 to $100 depending on which ones you buy. They're both Volk. They're both very similar, but I wanted to touch on both of them for different reasons depending on what you value. Blazers have been around forever. It's a cultural staple of footwear, and the SBs are actually built way better than a normal Blazer. The GT Blazer is actually pro skater Grant Taylor's pro shoe as well, and GT rips. Like he's a super good skater. He's fun to watch. He flies into his tricks, and there's a lot of little things about his shoe that I really like over a normal Blazer, but I'd pick either of these in this spot, so I'm putting them both here. So for durability, on the normal Blazers, you get a pretty decent suede upper. It lasts a decent amount of time, and you do get an extra rubber layer under the entire toe. You get probably more rubber than like the last Vans we've shown, which is always an added benefit. Like I said, for any Volk shoe, it's good to have 2 layers. But with the GTs, you don't get the extra rubber layer, but what you do get is this extra high foxing. The foxing is taped higher all around the whole shoe, so it's kind of a trade-off. It's like, do you want your rubber protecting it more or making it last longer once it goes through? The leather on this particular model of GTs wasn't great. I'd always opt for suede on pretty much every shoe ever. But for durability, I'd say these both are probably about 5.5 out of 10. But for comfort is where these are really different. So on both of them, you get the Nike SB Air Unit insole, which has the air unit attached to the heel, which is pretty sick, honestly. I used to make fun of it, but now it's kind of like, it's actually kind of a nice touch because no other companies do that. One thing that really helps the comfort is that, to me, I don't know if this is all in my head, the GT Blazers fit way better to me than normal Blazers. Like they're a little bit wider and they just fit snugger. Something about it I really liked. I definitely prefer the GT's fit. There's 2 things I wish these would swap. I wish this would also get an extra rubber layer because then it would blow this one out of the water completely. And I wish that this one had the same fit as this one. So maybe I'm crazy. It would blow me away if they're made on different lasts, but something about the GT Blazer fits a lot better. So for comfort, I probably go maybe a 6 out of 10 for both. It's still a Volk, so it's still gonna hurt your feet if you're doing big old drops over and over again, but honestly not bad. And for board feel, they're both Volk, so you're going to get a lot of board feel out of both of of them. The air unit in the heel does raise you off the board a little bit. It won't compress as much as the foam over time, so maybe a hair less in the heels, but I'd still go 7 out of 10 for board feel. Next up, we have the Vans Skate Half Cab. It's $85 and it's vulcanized. It's one of the most iconic skate shoes of all time. When people started transitioning from vert to street skating in the early 90s, kids were actually cutting down their high top shoes, specifically the Vans Caballeros. So Vans said, if you can't beat them, join them, and released the Half Cab as a mid-cut shoe. And it's pretty cool vibes around the shoe. It's one of those that will never go out of style because it just works for skating and it looks pretty good while you use it. So for durability, once again, Vans coming in clutch, you get this gigantic extra rubber layer. This is probably one of the biggest ones on any of the Vans I've seen. It's pretty solidly built around the heel too. Like the foam around the heel is pretty stiff, pretty decent suede. I will say my outsole did crack after a couple weeks of kickflips. It's the downfall of all Volk shoes. They all start to wear out faster than a normal cupsole. Not completely failed, but cracked. It's kind of what happens. So for durability, I'd probably give these probably like another 5.5 out of 10 if we're being honest. All Volk shoes, they're around the same amount of durability, and what it really comes down to is the comfort. For the comfort for these, you do get this Vans Pop Cush insole, and what I like is that this heel is so stiff it kind of locks you in, and the mid cut is like, it's not too high, it's just like rigid where it needs to be, if that makes sense. And I will say the toes do break in a lot more. There's a couple extra layers that you can see add a little more rigidity to the back half, so the toes do get pretty soft and soggy over time. It's not going to be, crazy protective for big drops all the time, but it's not bad. I would give this for comfort probably a 6 out of 10. And for board feel, it's a little less than your average Volk, nothing crazy. You can still feel a lot of the ground. These look like they're going to have less board feel than they do, so I'd probably say a 7 out of 10 for board feel. All right, so that kind of clears out a lot of the Volk shoes I'm going to talk about because objectively, cupsoles are just built better. So if we go to the first cupsole, we are going to the Ipath Grasshoppers. This is a big puffy shoe and it's pretty sick, honestly, inside. It's $115, it's a cupsole, and Ipath was a juggernaut in the early 2000s. It crossed over from skate into the mainstream. It had a pretty big presence on the feet of tons of musicians, actually. It's kind of a deep cut now. They have such a sick story. Like, they blew up, they got really popular, they ended up selling to Timberland, and Timberland kind of fumbled it, and like they started getting sold to other companies and then almost like stripped down and shut down. They were gone. And then the original owner, Brian, went out, tracked it down, bought it, and revived it as another independently owned shoe company. Then, after he had just brought it back and released shoes, the tariffs of last summer almost killed them. But now they're back and they seem to be growing their presence again. You can actually get them in skate shops finally. It's really a great story. And it's another like, if you know kind of brand right now. It's like older dudes will see you be like, oh, are you skating Ipaths? That's sick. Like, that's crazy. The Grasshoppers are like super iconic. Maybe the newer generation might not know them as much, but I'm hyped they're back. I'm always hyped for any independently owned shoe company, specifically skate shoe company. So for durability, you do get like that classic 80s basketball shoe style up where it's like a Dunk or like Adidas Pro model. None of these panels are actually double layered, so they all just end right there instead of going all the way down. It would probably be better if they were, but the durability, the abrasion test did okay. Actually, this white leather did insane. It did like 3,000 on the abrasion test. The cupsole itself is actually pretty durable while still being pretty grippy. Plus, it's a real cupsole and this stitch is real. You can see you do get the double redundancy of the actual cupsole stitch. Double redundancy in skate shoes is really good. The outsole is a hair on the thin side once we got it cut in half, but it's nothing I'd be super worried about durability wise. For durability, I'd probably go 6.5 out of 10 on these, but for comfort, this is what sets Ipath apart. The full length foam midsole, which you rarely see in any skate shoes, let alone independently owned brands. Plus, there's tons of foam around the ankle and here, and you get the stash pocket where you can put some stuff that maybe you don't want in your pockets just in case you get stopped and searched or something. Just, an extra pocket out of prying eyes. It's good to have in there for your comfort. But they do run a little bit on the big side, like they're pretty big and wide, so if you like your shoes tight, maybe size down a little bit. But you get a lot of room in these and you get a lot of comfort, honestly. So I'd go 7 out of 10 on comfort. And board feel, so the midsole and cupsole, definitely you lose board feel. It's a little more on the no board feel side. Nothing crazy. I'd go probably 4 out of 10 for board feel. Oh, next up, we got the first New Balance on the list. We have the New Balance Numeric 440 V2. It's $85 and it's a cupsole. And New Balance has been making skate shoes for about the last 10 or 15 years or so, and they have been slowly and steadily just devouring market share. So they focus a lot on the tech in their shoes. Like, all their shoes kind of look more like running shoes than skate shoes. They're usually really comfortable, and on average, they're the best built skate shoes I have seen over and over and over again. Like, I keep trying to find a New Balance that's like, oh, they pulled a fast one on us, but I can't. I literally can't. So who would have thought that New Balance would be so popular as skate shoes? Shout out to dads everywhere. They're all rejoicing. But they're definitely doing it the right way for sure for a big corporation. Like, they have a really good team. They're starting from the ground up, kind of more grassroots, not just coming in and throwing money around. But so if we go to the durability on these 440s, you do do get a double layered toe cap right here, which is really good. 2 is always better than 1, especially for skating. You do get this cool redundant stitching in the toe as well. It's like a lot of shoes are triple stitched, but I like what this one does because you get 2 stitches here, and if you do kick through that, you get another line of stitching here to save it a little farther down, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that was more for aesthetics or function, but it's kind of a cool function to how it looks. So for durability, I'd probably give these a 7 out of 10. They're gonna be pretty durable. And for comfort, these were super duper comfortable for my foot right off the bat. Like, I didn't love this foam midsole right here. It's maybe a little too squishy on the toes, and based on a lot of the comments from that video, a lot of people immediately swap out the insole and then skate it. But it's good because you get this half foam wedge, which is pretty rare at this price point too. It's a really good deal for a shoe. It's like a solid workhorse shoe, probably one of the best shoes you can get for the money. I give it a 7 out of 10 for comfort. And for board feel, for a cupsole, you do get a decent amount of board feel. Definitely not as much as a Volk, but you can see like this just kind of skives down into nothing, so you're gonna feel a lot more of the board on your toes. Not as much as a Volk, but not bad. I'd probably say about a 5 out of 10, maybe like a 5.5 out of 10 for board feel. Pretty sick shoe, honestly. Let me know what your experiences have been in this. Ooh, on to the next one. People were mad at me. People were very mad at me for what I said about this shoe. We have the Nike SB Air Max Ashad / Wear Max / Ashad 2 / naming convention is a little confusing. It's $115 and it's a Volk, which is pretty pricey for a Volk, but there's a lot of stuff going on in here that's pretty interesting actually. So Ashad is one of the best skaters ever, and so for his second shoe, Nike gave him a wild looking Air Max based, heavily basketball inspired shoe. It's sick. I think it's another super underrated shoe, and it always has some nice colorways coming out. It's a little bit on the techie looking side, if that's kind of your look, but I don't think anyone would bat an eye for you wearing these. But for durability, so you get a lot of crazy panels up here, which is a little bit worrying here and there. What's cool is on the toe, you get a turn-in stitch right here, so the raw edge isn't exposed, so it should help it last a little bit longer. And you get a lot of this high rubber taping on the whole shoe. Like, you can see the rubber is taped so high, like I barely even made it onto the leather right here. But for durability, the outsole is really soft and grippy, which is great for flick. It has really good flick, but it suffers on the durability side. Like, you can see I was almost going through here pretty quick. This is maybe 2 weeks of skating. Like, give us another day, I'd probably be going through, it'd be separating right here doing this. Hello, I am open. But I think that's a lot of people's problems with this shoe too. Is like, oh, it's really good, it has really good flick, and then it goes away after it wears out because it's kind of soft. I'd say for durability, it probably has a 5 out of 10 on durability. But for comfort, so you'll notice this looks like an Air Max, but when you take out the shoe, it's not an actual air unit right there. It's this drop-in midsole with an air unit in the heel, which I called a fake air unit, maybe for a little bit of clickbait, maybe to get people engaged. And people were like, you're an idiot, that's not a fake air unit, the air unit's still there, you f***ing jack. I'm just kidding, but everyone was pretty mean and it hurt my feelings a lot, and I went and cried and ate a tub of ice cream about it. So, but the insole itself, drop-in midsole, insole, whatever you want to call this, it's pretty dense and it's thicker than normal. It's bigger than your normal insole, so if you take one insole out, the size might be a little off, but it really worked for me. Like, you still get a lot of protection, but it still feels like a Volk, if that makes sense. It also fits really well. Like, it has a great last shape for my specific foot. So for comfort, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I think you could do bigger drops than most Volks in this shoe. And for board feel, it's still a Volk amount of board feel, like I said, maybe a little less because the air unit's so big in the heel and this is just thicker and denser than normal. They're all about 6 to 7 to 8 in most of these Volks, so pretty underrated shoe. Like, I'd suggest checking this out. Plus, I love the Timberland kind of colorway, kind of sick. We have the ASICS Legaretz Margheriti. I think it's $100 to $105 depending on colorway, and it is a cupsole. So ASICS is the newest of these large corporations coming in and making skate shoes, but they're also doing things the more organic way instead of just flooding the market with ads and cash, pretty similar to what New Balance is doing right now. It's funny because ASICS has a different vibe here than in their home base of Japan. So I was told, I think it was by the Village Psychic guy, Mike, that in Japan, ASICS is a super old brand. So it'd be like Wilson or a company like Spalding or something like that making shoes. But here it's super cool and trendy, which I think is really funny. And ASICS has been killing it recently in the skate game though. And this is their first real like big push into like a big shoe launch. So they tapped Gino Iannucci, who is a legendary pro skater known for his push and for his style, and he skates pretty slim cupsoles like this. So it's kind of like a cooler version of a Samba. So if you're wearing ASICS right now, you're definitely still on cutting edge of the trend cycle, I think. And plus the Gino colorways, like the Gino specific colorways, looked pretty good. This one and that dark blue one, pretty nice. That all black with the white one also looks pretty sick. So if we go for durability, I'll say the leather upper on this shoe, it's a little slippery at first, and there's definitely some synthetic leather here and there on this shoe on the general releases, but the Gino colorways, they do have a slightly nicer leather and textile, like hockey cleat style fabric on the side right there. And the cupsole, it's maybe a little bit on the thin side, but I never went through it when I was doing all my kickflips, my thousands of kickflips I can do, because that's the only trick I can really do. And it really worked pretty well for me for skating. It's not gonna be as durable as a lot of other shoes, so I'd probably go 6 out of 10 for durability. But the comfort, this is where the shoe stands out. You get 3 layers under your foot. So you get this foam insole layer, this non-removable foam insole layer, then you get this nice foam lasting board layer, then you get the half foam wedge, kind of like the New Balance 440. And the shoe, you put the shoe on and I feel like it just hugs your foot in a really great way. Like I wore these a ton because they are so comfortable. Like there isn't a ton of protection from bigger drops, like a little more than a Volk, but they're still on the pretty slim and thin side, but they're just so comfortable. It's like wearing a Samba, but my hips and my knees and my ankles don't hurt after I skate in it. Like I can skate in these and continue to wear them for the rest of the day. I don't have to change shoes. So comfort, probably 8 out of 10, just for my personal foot. For doing drops, it's probably like a 5 out of 10. So take that with a grain of salt. And for board feel, because it is so slim and thin, you get a ton of board feel for a cupsole. But the amount of cushioning deadens it, maybe just a little. I'd say you get a 6.5 out of 10 for board feel. All right, next up we have the infamous Nike Dunk. It is the Nike SB Dunk Low Pro, but the prices on this are all over the place. It can range from 115 to I've seen as much as 150. It's a cupsole and it's a dunk. Like it's probably the top 5 most popular shoes on the entire planet. But this time it's made specifically by the SB team for skating. And I gotta say, the SB team clears the normal Nike team every time. Every shoe they make is way better built, way more function oriented. So shout out to the SB team because they're making the rest of Nike look bad. But the giant bubble of hype that these SB Dunks started getting over like the pre-pandemic to like 2023, 24, it seems like it's finally popped and normal people can get these again. They're not going for like $400 on resale sites. They became like more of a collector's item over an actual attainable and wearable shoe. Why they became like that is because they do tons of like quick strikes and limited releases with a lot of different groups. Like I feel like the last year they've been focusing on a lot of shops getting their own colorways and like these small groups. Like even shout out to the homie David Blue Tile. I think his shop's getting its own colorway and it looks sick. Like he just teased it the other day and it was like it's all blue but these wings pull out and they're like monarch butterflies inside. I haven't seen a lot. Go check that one out when it drops because that's sick. Support the homie. Plus it just looks good. I'm gonna focus on the general release dunk that you hopefully won't have to wait in line for or enter a raffle for. It's kind of lame when skaters can't even get the skate shoes. Like it's good for skating because it brings money into the skate world, but it sucks when skaters can't actually use the products that are made for them. So if we go to durability, so sometimes on a few of these, like on the general releases, right here you'll get that turn and stitch toe right here. Sometimes you'll just get the raw edge, kind of depends on which one it is. Make sure to check for that. If it is the turn and stitch, it's gonna be a little more durable than just the raw edge. But none of these panels are actually truly double layered, which is kind of a bummer. It's nothing crazy. It would be better if they were double layered or had like a rubber layer beneath them, obviously. But the outsole is pretty solid. So whenever I skate these, which I can't really skate dunks that well, but we'll go over that in the comfort part. It acts like a normal cupsole. I start to wear off the toe the fastest. Pretty decent durability. There's nothing wowing me and there's nothing making me hate it. Pretty solid workhorse for durability. I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10. But comfort, this is where the shoe stands out among other cupsoles because you get the Nike Zoom Air Unit insole, but the toe area is also way softer than normal. So you get technically a triple density insole right here. But I think that's why I dislike skating in these because I think I just figured it out while I was kind of prepping for this video is whenever I skate these, I feel like my insole, my instep, like my arch doesn't touch the shoes. It's like I touch here and I touch at the toes. And I think, this is just my hunch, that because this air bubble doesn't compress as much as the foam, you're kind of up higher, and because the toes are a little softer, you're kind of down higher, so it kind of puts your foot into like this arch shape, which I don't love. I think that's why I don't like it. But you do get pretty well built. You get the half foam midsole right there, all the foam in the tongue if you like the foamy tongue and the foam around the heels, plus the heel pods right there kind of cup your foot in there. Overall, pretty well built shoe. I'd probably say a 7 out of 10. People are jumping down huge stair sets in these. There's a reason they're so popular and everyone likes them. So 7 out of 10 for durability. And in the board feel range, you get more board feel than you would think seeing this big puffy shoe, but it's still a cupsole. I'd probably go 4 out of 10 on board feel. All right, on to the next one, which is the very recently reviewed Adidas Tyshawn 2. It's $100, it's a cupsole, and honestly, you could probably swap this and the Nike Dunk, kind of depending on your foot shape or what you prefer, but I put it above because it is $15 to $20 cheaper on average. So Tyshawn always makes huge waves with his insane pop and his wild gaps over subway stations. He's top 3 like highest pops ever. It's like him and Sage and who else? Who else has got that pop? Probably Tiago, but he's been killing it since he was like 14. Recently, recently he made the big news because he's suing Supreme for $26 million since they ended his contract early due to him doing photo shoots with other companies. It's a whole thing. If you want all the backstory, go watch this actual review. Pretty wild story. Crazy. Making $1 million a year on Supreme as a skater is like one person ever can do it, and it's him. So we'll go to the durability now. You do get actual double layers in the upper, which is rare to see. The toe leather is a little weak and slippery till it gets roughed up, but you do get the double layers, which will help it last. And one cool thing is that the Adidas stripes are actually real leather as well. It's a nice durability touch since a lot of the logos are synthetic these days on the shoes. So you just get a little more durability up there as well. And the cupsole's pretty solid. It's nothing to go crazy about, but nothing to be worried about either. I'd probably say it's another 7 out of 10 for durability. And for comfort, so once again, you get this half foam midsole and you get the egg crate toes right there. I actually prefer this one over the Nike Dunk. I think it's because the Nike Dunk's toes are so soft. I don't love to skate in it, but this just feels a little bit more responsive than all of that foam. And it does have kind of a particular shape to it though. It might not work for all your feet. I would suggest before you buy this to try it on, try all of the shoes on before you buy them, honestly, because every last shape is so different. But you know, you're gonna be able to jump down big stuff just like a Nike Dunk. I'd go 7 out of 10 for comfort as well. And for board feel, pretty similar to a Dunk. I actually feel like you get more board feel on the toes of this one because of the egg crate midsole than the Dunk. It should be able to handle some pretty good abuse with drops and like landing primo on stuff. So I'd probably say 4 out of 10 for board feel. Next up is probably my favorite Volk shoe of all time. So maybe a little bias here, but it's the New Balance Numeric Jamie Foy 306. It's now $95, which is funny because I've been planning this video and it just went up in price. Like when I started skating them, it was probably $80, then it went up to $85, and then I just checked and it was up at $90, and then literally, I think on Wednesday to Thursday, it went up another $5, so maybe that was just coincidence. Everything's going up in price. Tariffs, inflation, all that nonsense, but it's $95 now. And Big Boy Foy, Jamie Foy, is an absolute beast. Like he demolishes rails like it's nothing. He's 2-time skater of the year, just a wild man that keeps getting better. And each video part, the rails just keep getting longer and longer and longer with more kinks and more kinks and more kinks. He's one of my favorite skaters ever, and I absolutely love these shoes. I skated them exclusively for like 5 straight years, but I think it's one of the oldest pro models too. It came out in like 2017, 2018, maybe 2019. I don't know. I like this shoe. And for durability, so this has probably some of the best performing suede we have seen on a shoe. Plus you get this nice extra rubber of layer that wraps around the toe. It's kind of like one of the shoe's most defining characteristics. Pretty similar to the Vans Duracap rubber that you get in those other Volks. Its biggest downfall is that at the end of the day, it is a vulcanized shoe and the outsole will not last as long as the upper in most cases. Like for me, I know 3 weeks till I go through right there. I have that down to a science. Trust me, I know. So for durability, I'd probably give this a 6 out of 10. But for comfort, you can see it's another Volk, so there's no midsole in this shoe. But I love this Absorb insole that you have in here. It's super dense and it's super responsive and it never feels like too soggy or a big fan. Another benefit is that this shoe does not stretch too much or get too soggy after you wear it. It holds its shape really well because at the end of the day, this shoe is like, it's a lining with leather panels stitched on top of it. So the leather won't stretch as much, which some people like. I love it. Some people might not like it, but it also has a slightly less pointy toe shape than a lot of the other skate shoes. New Balances usually have a little rounder of a toe shape. So I've done everything in the shoe. I've done bigger drops. I've done pretty much everything you possibly still can do. And it's not the most protective when you're jumping down stuff, just like any other Volk shoe. I probably say 6 out of 10 for comfort. But for board feel, this shoe has the perfect board feel of any Volk shoe ever. You feel a lot of the board, but since it stays a little more rigid throughout the break-in, it just feels good. So I'm gonna go 7 out of 10 on board feel, but it's a really good 7 out of 10, if that makes sense. All right, on to the next one. We have the highest ranked vulcanized shoe, which actually blew me away, the Warsaw Chapter Mid. It's $110 to $125, depending on what version you get, and it's a Volk. So Warsaw is a new brand started by Zero founder and very notable skater, Jamie Thomas. I think his goal is to make really nice shoes that you can skate in. They're not inherently skate shoes, so there's a lot of upgrades to the shoe that if you're looking for just skate performance, it might go overlooked, it might not be worth your money, but overall it makes it a really nice shoe as a whole. So once again, it's another small independent brand fighting against, you know, the big guys, Nike, New Balance, Adidas, and tariffs, of course. So if you value independently owned, here's another one for you. And for the durability, I was blown away at how durable this shoe is for a Volk. Like this model I skated is pig suede, and it's the vulcanized outsole durability in the shoe. It just kept going, and I kept skating it because I was like, there's no way, this has got to be a fluke. So I just kept skating it for a month straight. So pig suede is definitely the most abrasion resistant leather we have tested. And a bonus is that the entire shoe is lined with leather. So once you do go through the shoe, you do get another layer of leather. It won't last a long time, but it's like, as soon as you see that other layer, shoe glue it up, you're good to go. And the foxing is taped really high. Like you can see right here how much this protects it right here. I barely got to the leather with this high foxing. Really extends the life. Probably one of the most durable Volk shoes I have ever worn. I give it a 7 out of 10 for durability. And for comfort, like I said, the entire shoe is lined with pig suede. Even the insole is lined with pig suede. It just makes it feel really good. It's an upgrade that adds to the non-skate comfort of the shoe. I know some people have said like the lining in here kind of grabs your socks when you go in, which I kind of liked. It kind of felt like it snugged your socks into there. So some people didn't like that. But what I really like about this comfort is this insole. It's really thick and it's really dense, so you still get a lot of response and it still feels like a Volk, but you definitely get a little more cushion than you would expect. So for comfort, I'd probably go 6 out of 10. It's still a Volk. You're still gonna hurt your feet if you're doing big old drops. But for board feel, you do get a little less board feel than a lot of Volks because this is so thick and there's so many different layers under here. It's in like the thin cupsole range, almost. I would say it still has more than any of the cups, but less than any of the Volks. So maybe a 6 out of 10 for board feel on this one. Overall, just like a solid shoe. Plus it's really nice for not skating as well. This is probably one of the biggest surprises for me of this entire year. We have the ASICS Gel Vica Pro. And it was one of ASICS' first offerings, I think. So this is the shoe that originally Gino Iannucci, he got sent these shoes, he was skating in them. They ended up in a video of him skating. I think it was in him and like Chico Brenes, like a Chico Sticks video. And he was wearing these shoes and all of the comments, 100% of the comments are like, what are those shoes? What is Gino wearing? I want to see these shoes. So he might have accidentally soft launched them before they were supposed to go live, but they're $90 and they're a cupsole. Pretty sleek looking, honestly. Like for durability, you do get another hole cut style upper, so it removes a lot of the stitching just out of the way, so you're not going to blow through it there. And on this specific maroon shoe, the abrasion score was off the charts. It was like 3,000 plus. The cupsole is also surprisingly durable for being so slim and thin. It's probably one of the longest lasting out of all the slimmer cupsoles I have worn. So for this specific shoe, I'd go 7.5 out of 10 for durability. I know a lot of people says it wears for them, but for me, like, it just kept going. And for comfort, while this shoe is surprisingly durable, it's also surprisingly comfortable and built pretty well. So you get this big old foam wedge right here, kind of like the Leggerezza. You get the foam lasting board. You get this like dual density insole where it's a little firmer around the outside, kind of cups your heel. Plus you get this little tiny wedge of gel right there, which originally when all these shoes, they have little pieces of gel here and there. I'm like, that can't actually do much. But the more I skate them, you skate stuff that has little gel heels and you skate stuff that's just a full foam thing. Obviously, the little tiny amount of foam and like air units in the heel does help. Like every shoe I've worn that has something like that, it does feel better than not having it. It's not gonna be the most protective shoe for big drops, but it's so comfortable and the shape on the shoe is so good for me with really good flick. I'd say 7 out of 10 for comfort as well. And for board feel, for cupsole, this feels the most like a Volk without compromising the durability out of any of these shoes on the list. Super good board feel on this shoe. It's not too much, not too little. I'd probably go 6.5 out of 10. Surprise. Who would have thought ASICS makes a lot of the best shoes? All these big companies are actually using all their technology to use pretty good shoes. All right, that brings us to the New Balance 480, specifically the numeric version, because if you buy the non-numeric version, it's much worse. And it's $105 and it's a cupsole. This is pretty much New Balance's answer to a Nike Dunk, really, but I learned from the Dunk Off video that I did that in the 80s, ASICS actually made the first dunk looking shoe, the Japan, and then New Balance, followed by Nike Dunk after all of them. Culturally, you might get hit for like, oh, that's a Nike Dunk knockoff. That's kind of lame around town. But if you skate, people see like, oh, he's skating in the 480s. Those are sick shoes. If you skate, you know what's up. That's pretty much the whole theme of cultural relevance for most of these shoes. So for durability, once again, New Balance comes in as a titan of durability. You get all of these layers are double layered and they had really good abrasion scores as well. The cupsole is also really solid and it kind of flicks up here on the toe and the heel. Just flicks kickflips off. It's really nice. I enjoy doing kickflips in them. I did 100 kickflips in them straight out of the box and it looked brand new still, like just a shred of wear right there. They look totally fine. So king of durability, I'd probably say 8 out of 10 for durability. And for comfort, you get a lot underfoot as well. You do get this full length Absorb midsole. I'm pretty sure, no, it's a full length Fuel Cell midsole, which is what they use in the running shoes. And my only issue for the comfort is that the arch support shape in the shoe, it just starts to hurt my foot like when I'm walking around. Like I took these to New York, I walked like, 30,000 steps in a day and my feet were killing me. I had to get into other shoes. But when I'm skating, I don't notice it. So it's pretty dang comfy. And I actually discovered that the pro skater Ryan Lay has a YouTube channel and he just did a video talking about the 480. And I think he said it best. It's like a good middle ground for skating. If you need more precision, you need really good flick, you go for a thinner shoe. If you're doing really big drops and like over and over again, drops for a younger man, as he said, which I liked, you're probably gonna wanna go for a more cushiony, thicker shoe, but the 480 will cover you in any situation. It's a really good shoe for aging skaters. And I was like, perfect. Nailed it, Ryan Lay, way to go. So for comfort, I'll probably go 7 out of 10. Some people think it's a little lumpy in the midsole. Some people don't, it kind of depends on your foot shape. But for board feel, with all that foam and the cupsole, you do lose some board feel, especially under the toes if you're used to skating like Dunks or the ASICS Japans or like the Tai Shans. I'd go 4 out of 10 for board feel on this one. A lot of these, they're probably gonna start sounding pretty repetitive as we get to the upper echelons of this list here. But we have another New Balance. We have the New Balance Tiago Lemos 808 Lite. It is $100 and it's a cupsole. And if you don't know who Tiago is, he's an insane skater. He's potentially the best switch skater of all time. He pops like chest high. He looks like he's straight out of 1995. Just an overall rad dude with some serious power. This is his second pro shoe. He actually got a slight downgrade from the 808 to the 808 Lite, but it's to make it cheaper. And after cutting it in half, it's not really a downgrade. It was like a sidestep grade, which actually makes it cheaper for the consumer. So nailed it. But this shoe might be one of the most polarizing shoes since it has pretty specific qualities in it, but let's get into that. So with the durability, you get all of the beefy, durable double layers that you get in pretty much every New Balance. With New Balance, you pretty much know if there's layers here, they're gonna be double layered all the way down. Good for New Balance, I'd say. But what's cool is with the lacing options, you do get internal lacing on the outside part of the shoe. So like if you wanna go inside here, lace it up on the inside, you have these webbing straps. And that is a great feature. Like everyone blows through their laces on skate shoes, everyone. So just adding that little feature right there is very nice. And the outsole, it's pretty similar to like, I'd probably say the 480. It's really stiff, it's pretty durable. I mean, overall, probably an 8 out of 10 for durability. All these New Balances are just super durable. But for comfort, this is the most polarizing part. This shoe is super stiff. Wow, might be one of the stiffest shoes on the market. No hims needed. But the full length midsole, it's really comfortable, but it really adds to the stiffness. It's pretty similar to the 480 in like its performance, but it's kind of like a diving board, right? It's like you want to pop really high, but if the diving board is really floppy, you're not going to get as much air because all of your energy is going down. But with a stiff one, you hit it, it's like brrr, it just springs you back off. I feel like you can kind of see that in the way Tiago skates. Like he just pops so high, it's like all of his energy, nothing is lost into the foam. It's all going directly into his ollie, if that makes sense. Shout out to transfer of energy. Shout out to high school thermodynamics or whatever. So for comfort, I'd probably go 6 out of 10 just because it's so stiff. Like you might love this shoe. I like a really stiff shoe and I like this shoe. But if you like a really floppy loose shoe, you might hate this shoe, but objectively pretty solid. And obviously you don't get a ton of board feel on this one. It's the opposite vibes of a Volk really. That full stiff midsole, they really insulate your feet. Probably a 3 out of 10 for board feel. All right, we're getting close to the end here with this next shoe up. It is the ASICS Gel Flexski Pro 2.0. Mouthful, my God. It is $135, one of the most expensive shoes on this list, and it's a cupsole. And this is probably the wildest looking shoe on the entire list. And it's one of those shoes that you'd see in the shop and be like, what the f is that? Like I would try it on just to see what it felt like. It's one of those shoes you're like, I never actually wear that. And I think the high price really scares off a lot of people, but it has a really big cult following, especially I think with the Late Night Stars crew out in New York City. It's so crazy, it's sick kind of vibes. Like it's so wacky, it's so weird looking. Like it comes back around to being cool again. So for durability, there's a lot on this upper. The suede is on par. It's nothing crazy for suede, but this giant rubber toe and the TPU outsole, they give you a lot of durability. And it was originally made for vert skating. So like when you're doing knee slides, the tops of your shoes aren't just gonna blast out in 2 seconds. And you also get 2 lacing options. So you get the outside lacing or the inside lacing, which I preferred, which also saves your laces. And you can see that it's pretty asymmetrical. So it moves the laces out of the way from your ollies too. And then you get this little cover right here, which is nice. It's like this little TPU cover, TPU or plastic cover right here, which keeps this part not from fraying and blasting out. Overall, it just has a tons of those little things that make it kind of nice. All these little things that make it nice add up to a more expensive shoe. I did kick through the stitching right here, so it kind of opened up, but it didn't ever fail on me. This is the downfall of having stitching on shoes. I'd probably say for durability, 7.5 out of 10. Super surprised on the durability. But for the comfort, you get this full length midsole right here. Plus you get this little pad of ASICS gel in the heel. It's a little small, but you know, the more I've learned by cutting all the shoes, a little goes a long way. And I will say my pinky toe did get a little pinched on this side, like when I'm flexing, when I was walking and flexing right here, like my pinky got a little pinched where the suede meets the rubber. But honestly, like for flexibility, all the cutouts on the outsole, I think they do actually work and made it a little more flexible, because like with a full length foam midsole, it's just gonna be stiff and less flexible. So I think that definitely makes it more flexible. It's pretty decent for drops, actually. It's like, it'll probably be similar to the 480 or something like that kind of shoe. I'd probably go 8 out of 10 for comfort. I was shocked at how comfortable the shoe is. Some of the best flick on the entire list as well. For board feel, for how much foam is in here, it's still pretty slim. You can still feel the board a lot. Nothing crazy. I'd probably go 5 out of 10 for board feel. And before we get into the the top 3. I absolutely hate when I'm blowing through my shoes like this really quickly. Like specifically with these New Balances, I know in 3 weeks, I'm gonna put a hole right here. It's gonna get to the rubber. That's gonna take a couple more sessions and I'm gonna be done. So what I did, I made pig suede patches that lace into your shoes to protect those high wear spots. Pig suede, some of the most abrasion resistant material we've ever tested, especially in skate shoes. They lace through your shoe, you glue them down. They're also big enough that you can cut your own patch out of it and put it up here where you flick or wherever you need it. You get 5 patches in a Patchworks kit. It's pretty much as much leather as you get in a normal shoe. So you get 5 patches. Once you blow through it, you peel it off, put another one on, extend your shoe life even more. So shout out to Roseanville for letting me, start my company pretty much out of Roseanville and use all the machines, use all the knowledge. We've cut open hundreds of shoes. We've tested tons of leather. I know that this is a pretty solid product. For everyone watching, you can use code MAKEMELASTLONGER for 10% off because it makes me giggle. I think it's funny. It saves you money. So go get some patches, extend your shoe's life, you shoe beating freaks. All right, number 3. Drum roll, please. It is the Nike SB Zoom Nyjah 4. It's $115 and it's a cupsole. So Nyjah is one of the best skaters in the entire world, pretty much synonymous with X Games at this point, but his connotation is the opposite of most skaters. He's like the epitome of skating as a sport, which gets a bad rep from a lot of the core skate community. Say what you want about him. He wears his short shorts, he wears his tank tops and his tight pants, and like he's all tatted up and like drinking Monster, super corporate kind of vibes. I don't know. He can definitely talk the talk. He backs it all up. He's so good. He makes the most impossible looking tricks look kind of boring. It's like, oh yeah, it's Nyjah. He's just another like 46 stair rail, like whatever. Seen it done before, but it's like you go to that rail and you're like, how did he do that? That's insane. So these shoes, they kind of carry that sports connotation with them. I mean, they look like running shoes, like athletic shoes. So buyer beware if you're trying to be super cool with a bunch of heshers. But there's a reason they're number 3. So if we go to the durability on the shoe, Nike uses this new high abrasion rubber tech and it blows the rest of the shoes out of the water. Or most skate shoes leather, it only takes about 1,000 or so strokes to fail. Nyjah's took 12,000 till failure. So where 30 seconds on a sander wore down other outsoles, the Nyjah, nothing even happened to it. It just like made it kind of shiny. That's what happened after 30 seconds on a belt sander. Pretty much unaffected. But durability does come out of cost of grip. It is a little more slippery than usual, but for durability, this is a 9 out of 10. I don't know what would be more durable than this, but for comfort, when I cut open the shoe, I was very pleasantly surprised. You got the full length foam midsole and you got a bottom loaded Zoom air packet. So you just have the foam insole, you don't have that classic Nike air unit there. It's built into the shoe itself. And honestly, all of this, like the lining kind of just grabs you. It fits your foot like a sock. It honestly feels pretty good. It kind of just like snugs your foot into it like a running shoe. And you're able to do, pretty big drops because look what Nyjah's doing in these shoes. I'd say 8 out of 10 for comfort, surprisingly. And with board feel, so with this thinner outsole, because it's so abrasion resistant, the outsole can be thinner, but you do get the foam in the toe, you do get the foam and the air unit in the heel. You're gonna have a little less board feel, more than some other cupsoles though. I'd probably go 4 out of 10 for board feel on this. Pretty solidly built shoe, honestly. It's like, shout out to Nike. This shoe I think is pretty underrated. I don't know how it's selling. A lot of shops say they sit on Nyjahs for a while just because they don't look like your typical skate shoe, but after running all the tests, it's a pretty dang good shoe. So shout out to Nyjah, shout out to Nike. Who would have thought me saying that? All right, for number 2, you probably would have no idea, but we have the New Balance Tiago Lemos 1010. We've cut open a whole bunch of these because they're really good. They're $110 and they're a cupsole. And so this is the first of Tiago's pro shoes for New Balance. It's a pretty sick shoe. I think it came out in like 2020. It was a little ahead of its time for like the chunkier shoe vibe that's pretty in style right now. But if you're looking for that 90s style and a shoe to pair your big baggy jeans with, look no further. It's honestly one of the best sneakers, not just skate shoes, that you can buy, especially for the price. For $110, I'm blown away at what's in the shoe. So for the durability, it's really the first skate shoe that we cut in half that like blew me out of the water. I was like, holy cow. It has a really good suede upper. So on the models that have textile here, you get the New Balance like second layer of rubber. It's the Phantom Fit. And on the leather models, you get 2 layers of leather. So I always opt for the leather models, obviously. But it's double layered everywhere. The outsole is probably the second most durable we have seen, just losing to the Nyjahs. Overall, super tough, super durable shoe. Like I wore it for probably a month to 6 weeks. And I went to San Francisco and I was like putting my foot down and dragging the outsole down those big scary hills because I'm a big old wimp. And it didn't even do anything. Like some shoes, you put your foot down, you're gonna go through in one hill. These were totally fine. So durability, 9 out of 10. super durable shoe. And for comfort, on the insole, you get this dual density. It's fuel cell foam in your heel and absorbent foam for the rest of it. Really good for jumping down stuff. It's like going back to that Ryan Lay video. He's like, this is the shoe he uses to jump down big stuff, gaps for younger men. If you're an older skater whose feet hurt, this is also a really comfortable, really good shoe. You also get these heel pods that kind of suck your heel in like the Nike Dunk. Overall, really comfortable, really well-built shoe. Probably comfort's a 9 out of 10. Like you could jump down anything in these, I'd say. But for board feel, the trade-off with all of that durability and comfort is lack of board feel. Like it definitely has way more board feel than I imagined it was gonna have. Like I went from a Volt to this shoe and I was like, this is gonna suck. I'm not gonna be able to feel anything. Totally fine. Just give it like a couple days, like 1 day of break-in and you're good to go. But if you like board feel, probably not the shoe for you. Board feel probably a 3 out of 10 for feeling your board. Overall, one of the best shoes ever. Like I recommend this to people who don't skate because like, what kind of New Balance should I buy? I'm like, for $100, this shoe blows everything out of the water. Look at every other shoe on this list that's around that price, and this thing just cooks them. Number 2, Tiago Lemos. Shout out New Balance, always putting in the work. And speaking of shout out New Balance, number 1, I feel like you might know this one is coming. It is the New Balance Andrew Reynolds 933. And fun fact about this shoe, it's actually Andrew Reynolds' worn shoe that he gave us to cut apart. I gotta go do a frontside flip, I just go, and I'm good to go. Which is gross. Don't sniff other people's shoes. You don't know what's going on in there. This is $135, so it ties for the most expensive shoe on this list, and it's a cupsole. And so this was a big deal shoe. The legendary Andrew Reynolds on a new company getting one of the most high-tech, non-skate shoe looking shoes ever. Tons of hype, lots of press. When we went out to New Balance and interviewed Reynolds and the designer Jeff Mikett, yeah, the whole process was insane. They're like, yeah, this was a big process getting everything dialed. Like Reynolds showed up to New Balance with a bag full of cut in half shoes. Like he really knew what he was looking for, and there'd be like tons of feedback for both ways. They're like, I want this. It's like, okay, well you can't have this if you have this, and they'd compromise. And you could tell there was like, not like conflict, it's like the good kind of conflict that leads to something better. So it's really cool to see that. It's probably the most in-depth design process from pro to designer ever. And it's really cool that New Balance put that all on display. But if we go down to the brass tacks, for durability, just like the other New Balance, everything is double layered here. It's a tank, it's just a tank of durability. And on this one, I believe they use pig suede leather, which is really good. The outsole is really well designed too. Like you get the outsole, it's rubber here. It's asymmetrical, so it goes from rubber to foam to cut down on the weight. Because if this thing was just built like rubber all the way around, it would just start to get really heavy. Super durable. I'd say the only problems that I had, which looks like Reynolds had as well, is like he kicked through the stitching right there, and then you start to go through on the runner toe a little bit. But other than that, like this thing's chilling. And if you're a pro skater like Andrew Reynolds, this is what the shoe looks like after 3 weeks from a pro. Pretty good. Just a beast of durability. Everything held up really well. So I'd say 9 out of 10 for durability. And for comfort, this is where the shoe gets insane. Like they put in this co-molded insole that you can see here. It's on the inside, you get this red layer, and it's all encapsulated by another layer. It's like around the edge of the shoe is denser, and under your shoe is a little less dense but more responsive. It's tech straight from their basketball shoes. It actually starts as like this little puck that's like this big, and then they put it in an autoclave and then press a button and magic happens, and I don't know how that works. And then it comes out full size together as one midsole. It's crazy. This is really what sets the shoe apart for me. At first, it feels really big and really boaty, but after the break-in, it's amazing. Like super responsive, super comfortable, super protective. I mean, doing drops, totally fine. Like I felt the most comfortable in any shoe I've ever worn doing drops in this. And I just feel like the comfort, they just nailed it. And I think that's what Reynolds was going for. He said he needs a shoe that will allow him to continue skating as he gets older, and this is it. So for the comfort, I mean, 10 out of 10, honestly. Like it really worked for me, and the more I've worn it over the year, the better it has been compared to the rest of the skate shoes on the market. But if you go to board feel, there's no board feel in this shoe. Like it gets better as you break it in, but when I first put it on and was skating it, I was like, I am not gonna be able to skate this. I can't feel anything. I can barely even do a kickflip. But you just gotta wear it in, and then the foam starts to compress, and like I feel like it loosens up as you break it in. But there's no board feel. It's probably 2 out of 10 on board feel. But overall, this is definitely the best skate shoe I've ever worn. It's the most durable skate shoe we've ever cut apart. It's one of the best shoes we've cut, and we've cut apart, 1,000 shoes. So shout out to New Balance for making some of the most durable shoes of all time. Even if you don't like skating big, thick cupsoles, try this one out, because I don't like skating big, thick cupsoles really either, and it really won me over. So pretty crazy. It also kind of doubles. It's 2 shoes for 1 because I wear this shoe to the gym too. It's like I walk in it, I go to the gym in it, I can skate in it. It's like 2 or 3 shoes in one. So I don't know. I really just like this shoe. I'd recommend anyone try this. So that's the top 20 best skate shoes you can buy 2023. 2026. There's a lot of companies missing on there because I can just buy what's at skate shops. Like if you're just DTC, it's hard to get you in here to try out. Like I don't want to go buy a shoe that's not going to fit my foot. So maybe for the next year, we'll get some of those sick Village PMs and like some S and Etnies and Americas and maybe some Globes. What else? I got some SXLs I've been sitting on for a while. Let me know what you guys want to see out of skate shoe videos, but that should cover it. If I had money and had to buy one skate shoe, I'd start from the top of that list and go down because those are going to be the best shoes. So anyways, that's it. Don't know how to end.